the point now where it's like, let them. The states that went for Trump are the states that are the biggest takers of federal assistance. So just see what happens when Veterans Affairs benefits, when we disrupt and shut down those people you can't trust. Okay, let's see what happens to you and dad and your neighbors and what happens in these rural, dark red communities when there is no Head Start. See what happens when you shut down DEI and there is no job opportunity for veterans. Like, I'm at the point where it's like, you know what? You broke it, you own it. You're going to get to find out just how quote unquote incompetent government is. You're going to find out that government is a lot more competent than you had originally thought. And you're going to get a very ugly awakening, in my view. And I'm sort of at the point of, all right, it's time. You really want to see what life is like in these red states, the people who are most rabidly for Trump, who tend to be in rural areas, tend to be, quite frankly, have a larger body mass index, are more dependent upon Medicare, are more dependent on government services. The biggest takers from a state perspective are the ones that went hardest towards Trump, which means when these payments and these programs get shut down, they're the beginning. This isn't going to hurt us, Jess. I mean, we're upset about this because I'd like to think we have some fidelity to America and the Constitution and want to pay back based on the prosperity we've recognized because of this incredible system and rule of law and democracy. But quite frankly, this isn't going to really hurt you or me. Our kids aren't in SNAP. We're not getting Veterans Affairs payments. We're not getting Social Security payments, right? We're not dying of malaria in Malawi or wherever, right? This won't affect us. It's just fascinating, though, that the people who I think are about to get the biggest dose of like, wow, be careful what you ask for, are the ones that are most rabidly pro-Trump. So my sense is at this point, you know, as Mel Robbins would say, let them. Have at it. You asked for it, you got it. Toyota.
That's definitely the big debate, I think, amongst people who voted the way that we did, that balance between wanting to live in a society that uplifts everybody, which I feel like is so core to the Democratic Party, and then thinking we are never going to have a reversal of these kinds of electoral outcomes unless there is real suffering. And that feels like a terrible place to be. I don't want to be someone that wishes a bad economic outcome on anyone. I would love a world in which everyone can succeed to the utmost level. But it does seem like there has already been a bit of this, I don't want to go as far as saying buyer's remorse, but you're seeing these videos coming up on TikTok. I don't know. There's a farmer who relies on this cost-sharing program that gets funded through the Inflation Reduction Act that has been frozen and gone away. And he's talking about potentially losing his farm.
I wanted to start off by saying I did vote for Donald Trump. We are possibly going to lose our farm if NRCS doesn't hold up their contract with us on the EQIP program. So the reason that they're not able to hold up the contract is our EQIP program, which is cost sharing on fences, waters, a well, and some seedings, was funded by the Inflation Reduction Act. Because of the executive orders, there's a pause or a freeze on the funding through the Inflation Reduction Act.
He was someone who voted for Trump. Katie Britt, the senator from Alabama, is out there talking about how we can't have the NIH go away. The new policy of getting indirect costs down to 15%, which will basically mean that we have to shutter labs that are saving us from every disease under the sun and are a huge economic boon for the country. I was astounded to see that for every dollar that we put into society from the NIH, that we get $2.46 back, and it generates nearly $93 billion in economic activity in the U.S. and also is what keeps us the leader of the pack, our competitiveness. It's so funny to hear Republicans bemoaning how far we're falling behind all the time. And then they're like, you know what we'll do? We'll slash NIH funding. That'll be the way that we'll really show the rest of the world.
A CNN analysis found the 15 states that most rely on federal funding for its public schools in 2022 all voted for Trump.
And I voted for President Trump.
I mean, you're an educator. You didn't vote for Trump eliminating federal funds
No,
here.
I did not vote for that. I voted for President Trump to make America first again and to improve our lives.
Something that I've been thinking a lot about is that if we actually survive this as a nation, there needs to be punishment and retribution finally for the traitors. And by that, I mean that throughout American history, there has never been actual punishment for the people who have caused the most damage and harm to our country and our society. Reconstruction failed because the National Guard left the South. Former slave owners were not forced to pay reparations to the slaves. They were not forced to pay for the reconstruction of the South after the Civil War. They were allowed to hide and integrate into white Southern society, which is how we got the lost cause and this entire Confederacy lie. From that, then when Jim Crow ended, once again, there was no punishment to the millions of people who terrorized the Black American community for centuries. There was no punishment for it. Elon Musk and Donald Trump are so obsessed with South Africa right now because South Africa is forcing white South Africans to pay retribution to the people that they have harmed. When this is all said and done, those traitors need to be finally punished. Because if we don't punish them, this cycle, it's going to keep repeating. Because the lesson that is being learned is that it is okay to do this. So if we really actually as a society want to say that this is not cool, the traitors need to be paid, or the traitors need to pay. They need to be punished. End of story.